Hello my dudes, it's Kat. I don't know why I sounded so excited just then. I just first want to start this video by saying I'm really sorry for not uploading last week. I've been ridiculously ill for the last 2 weeks, but last week was particularly bad, so I just really want to apologise. I don't really have a way to make up for it, but I'm gonna really try to make a good video next week, which should hopefully be about 6 of Crows because I finally finished it. Today's video is going to be about reading routines and habits, and essentially I'm going to talk about and give tips to you guys about how to read more in your spare time, because a lot of people I think that I've spoken to in my everyday life, they really like books just the way I do, but I think a lot of people struggle with finding ways to fit reading into their daily routines, and as such I think a video might be useful. It's all well and good saying, oh, just squeeze more reading into your life. It's not as easy as that, I think. So I'm going to make a video that hopefully will make sense. I'm going to structure it, but my brain works in different ways. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to just drop them down below and I'll answer them, because I know definitely my brain works in confusing ways. I think one of the first things to talk about is that people have different tolerances to reading. So I know some people, for example, like Paperback Dreams, Kat, on YouTube, they can read like an entire book in one day, and I want you guys to know that that's just not realistic for most people. So don't feel bad if you can't read a book in one day, because not everyone can do that. Especially I can read a book in a day, but that's only when I haven't got anything else to do. So if I've got university, if I've got work, I can't do that. Like I did it in the summer, where I read The Cat's Prince Trilogy in the space of 3 days, and that's doable, it's possible, but I didn't sleep those 3 days. I was just reading like 10 hours a day. So, just be aware of your limits, and people have full-time jobs or studying, so they might not be able to do what they want to do. So first of all, don't be put off by what people say. People have different variances in reading speed, how much free time they have, how much the way they travel, because obviously you can read more books if you travel on public transport, but if you're driving, you're going to be limited unless you use audiobooks. So just be aware that what you hear and see online is not necessarily the same situation that you're in. So just figure out what's healthy for you and what fits into your routine. So for example, I can only read maybe 3-4 books maximum in a month because of my routine. I'm a full-time politics student and I'm in 3rd year, which means that I have a lot of reading to do for my course. I'm stuck reading maybe 300 pages a week just for seminars. On top of essays and dissertation, it means that I have, a lot to read in 1 week, and a lot of things to write in 1 week, as well as lectures to go to, and also my job. So as a result, I really don't have much free time to read at all. I have maybe an hour or 2 a day, and that's if I'm not feeling tired to read, because obviously you don't want to tire yourself out by reading. So just kind of figure out what your routine is. And this is actually a really good tip I'm going to just highlight right now. If you find yourself in bed before you go to sleep scrolling through Facebook for 20 minutes and you realize that, you need to stop that. It's really hard to make that a habit. It takes a long time, but I think one of the best ways to form a habit, if instead of time yourself on Facebook, note down what times you go on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, or even use the screen time app if you have one on your phone, like iPhone for example. Just literally, if you find yourself spending more than 5 minutes on Facebook a night, swap it out for reading. Go on Facebook for 5 minutes like I do, and then you just pick up a book. I always have a book on my bedside table. If I have this, I'm going to start it. Just literally always have a book on your bedside table, and once you have that, just replace social media with that. And I find that generally speaking, the best time to read is before bed. So if you can squeeze some maybe 20 minutes or half an hour of reading a night, just do it. I think getting started with that habit is actually really hard, because you're just not in the right state of mind for thinking. You're not. But instead of thinking of a book as think of it as pleasure. So instead of getting the dopamine hit from Facebook, you get it from the book. So definitely try and replace social media with a book. And if you can find time to do it in your daily routine, for example, if you're going to work through the metro or the tube, I always bring a book with me in a bag. I have different sizes of books, and some of them are ideal for the handbags. I have tiny books If you can, try to have books that have variance in size so that you can carry them in your bag. Like I have books, like I read this mostly on the tube on the way to different events in the space of 5 days. So this is 300 pages, it's quite small, it's the size of my hand dish. So just, it's not hard to just, if you have a purse that fits a book, just shove it in there. Instead of like carrying around like, I don't know, food or makeup. Just carry around a book so that if you have like even just 10 minutes whilst you're waiting for your train to pop up, or if you have a seat on the tube, black out a chapter, you know, it's like dead easy. But obviously some books, like for example this, I wouldn't be able to carry that around. It's just a bit too heavy. Although I did carry around Six of Crows for about a week, so saying that, it is sometimes doable. So I think a really important part of finding ways to fit more books into your life is definitely like figuring out in which parts of your daily, everyday life are you more sedentary, which parts can you spare the effort to read a book. So if you find yourself like watching TV for more than a couple of hours a day, you're just scrolling through channels or scrolling through Netflix, what I tend to do a lot, it's like I want to watch a film or something and I just tend to just open up Netflix and I scroll aimlessly for like an hour and I just can't find anything, and I've taken steps to, instead of doing that, instead of spending a lot of time finding some kind of media to watch, I just pick up a book. It's just so much easier and it saves me the hassle. I always have a book that I'm trying to read, so I just pick that up instead. And yeah, you just have to like find healthy ways of replacing unhealthy habits like TV or social media, because I'm sure everybody has time to go on Facebook a couple of hours a day. So just replace. It's hard at first, but then it becomes so easy afterwards. It took me maybe a month to make that a proper habit, so you know, make time for it. Or if you are a university student or a high school student, you know, lunch breaks or just traveling between classes can actually be really good time to read. What I tend to do when I have really boring text to read, like I'm currently having to read Das Kapital by Karl Marx, it's a really, really thick, dense text. So I find that sometimes when I read a couple of pages of it, I want to take a break, because like a couple of pages take me about half an hour to read because it's that complex. There are lots of referencing and stuff. So what I tried to do is every couple of pages, or like 5 pages, I just kind of pick up a normal fiction book that I'm trying to read and read like half a chapter or however much it takes me to sort of get back into the focused mindset that I was in. So just finding ways to incorporate reading as a pleasure thing throughout your day will definitely get you to associate reading with something fun, so you won't put it off as much. So that's definitely like one of my best tips, is just fit it into things, into times in your day when you're either bored or just running around aimlessly doing nothing. I think something that's really important to mention as well is being productive. I think a lot of us in the modern day are obsessed with the idea of being productive in our daily lives. We must make something, we must be working, and it's all about this mental health thing on how to not procrastinate, how to be productive, and it's a really unhealthy method of living, in my opinion. I think some people do it really well. Some people really do have the capacity to just be productive all day long. I have plenty of friends that spend hours and hours in the library, and they wake up in the morning, they do work, they go to class, they come back, they do work, they read and they sleep. Some people can do that, but I think it's very few of us. I think a lot of us, and including me, some people just don't have the mental effort necessary to be that disciplined with their free time. A lot of us will kind of wander and meander into doing tasks that we absolutely must do, and we put it off, we procrastinate an awful lot. And I think that's natural, and being aware of that I think is really important. And you have to sort of, when you are being non-productive or procrastinating, I think it's very important to make use of that time in a non-productive way as a method of taking rest. For example, if I'm finding that I'm way too tired to do anything that day in terms of like classwork, instead of just lying in bed sleeping, going on Facebook and doing nothing, because then you feel guilty about it, it makes you feel worse, what I do is I pick up a book, and at least I'm being semi-productive, you know? I keep my mind working, I'm doing something that's giving me happiness that isn't just scrolling through Facebook, which has no benefit. I think reading will always keep your mind in tip-top shape. So I think it's really important to just be aware of your own habits, and as such curtail bad habits like procrastination by going on social media. So just be aware of stuff like that. And definitely, like I said before, I'm going to repeat again, find your favourite booktubers and just sort of try to keep up with what they're reading. And if they make a review of a book or in their wrap-up, so you find that there's something interesting in your wrap-up, definitely look into maybe getting that book from the library or reading a sample of it online and seeing if it interested you enough to actually purchase it if you wish to. So yeah, just make do the resources that you have, like booktubers, I think is definitely really useful in motivating you to keep up with somebody. Because I know I've always watched booktube, but over the last few years I just felt really bad. I wasn't reading anywhere near as much my favourite booktubers are reading, and they're reading books I really wanted to get to, and I would buy them. But I just couldn't, I eventually had like massive piles of books I wanted to read, but I couldn't find the time to do so. And mostly because I just, instead of opening them, I would just scroll through Goodreads to find some good reviews, instead of, picking them up and reading them. So I think focus on what you think you will like by finding software or good recommendations from booktubers, and then make use of social media time or bedtime or public transport time to just actually read them. When I started reading Cersei, I actually was not going to start it for a long time, but I had to go on like a really long public transport trip, so I thought, okay, I'll just squeeze it into my bag. And that literally saved my life. Basically, long story, I didn't have my headphones with me because I was an absolute idiot. So I was on the tube and I was really bored. It was going to be an hour and a half on train. So I just got the book out and I read a good 10 chapters before I was home. And I read that was about a quarter of the book in one trip. So that really meant that I was very easily into the book. I was hooked and I could continue tonight, and then I read it in the space of 5 days. So definitely just look into squeezing as much reading time as you can. And obviously don't tire yourself out. If you find yourself just reading aimlessly and having to go back to the same page and repeat it because you just actually like absorbing it, put the book down, go for a walk or eat something, just that means that you're saturated and you need to refocus. And maybe now is not the time to keep reading. If you're just having to notice that you're just repeating yourself, don't force it. Because you're not really enjoying it then. You have to find a way to enjoy it, which can take a long time, but once you do, I promise you, it's so much better. I hope that this incredibly rambly video has been useful. I would really appreciate if you guys could give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out a lot. For some reason there's been someone that keeps disliking my videos, and it's kind of messing up my algorithm. So if you guys could just give it some thumbs up, please comment, give suggestions, books that you want me to read. Do I look good? Do I have makeup today? And I'm really sorry I'm not wearing a Lolita, but I just have not had the time lately. I hope this video has been useful. If anybody has any more tips, just comment. Questions as usual, please comment. If you've enjoyed it, see you guys.